I've been talking for more than 5 years at this point, but especially the past 4 publicly about the absurdity of the issue. And that's why back in February 2019, I had that tweet I put out there with a video of me breaking the British women's deadlift record while claiming I identified as a woman.
You literally broke the women's record.
Yeah, it was. So to be clear, it wasn't in a sanctioned competition, but it was from one of my training sessions, just showing how easily I could lift a weight that's
Well, we're looking at it
many
now.
kilos.
This is you as a woman.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly difficult.
Lifting about 17 Paul Arone Adrian.
Piers Morgan has not been someone to shy away from particular topics, and this includes the view on woke culture. The British journalist and broadcaster has adopted a firm stance against the dangers and absurdities of modern woke ideology, as he describes it. In numerous interviews, he has been able to methodically break down into the inconsistencies that constitute the foundation of woke logic, leaving all its supporters at sea and unable to speak in response. As much as he makes everything direct and unapologetic, it should be pointed out right here that he has earned himself a firm place as one of the loudest disapprovers of the cultural movement. Morgan was just one of the people who had great retorts towards the distorted ideas of woke culture about equality. He would have heralded that the source of these very harmful results is so perverse compared with something that had been thought good. He cites the types of shift in athletic competition that are almost certainly poor conclusion to the ends, where biological males compete against females. For him, that is a pure example of woke ideals and reality being at odds with one another, with an indication of inequity so clear that it's not about inclusion, but about fairness. Equities that pale in comparison to leftist ideology. Another subject he frequently talks about is the focus of many about gender identity. This is, in fact, an example of things that embody fully the sins of movements of woke culture, insisting on refashioning from established, clear-cut truths just to propagate a continually rolling narrative. The intensity in Morgan's language stems from his argument that denying biological differences creates enormous social problems, especially in terms of sports and education. He stresses that these issues are not merely theoretical, but have consequences that affect real-life fairness and equality of women.
What is a woman? We know that Nicola Sturgeon can't answer that. We know Keir Starmer can't answer that. You're the British Prime Minister. What is a woman?
Yeah, of course I know what a woman is. An adult human female.
It's not difficult, is it, Angelica? I mean, that is what a woman is.
I mean, I don't know why you're obsessed with defining it. Like, what is a man? Like, why do we need these arbitrary...
A man is a male, adult human. I mean, that's it.
Right, OK. I don't know that we need
these are just biological facts, but they're just facts. They're not arguable points, are they?
Well, but I think we have a right to self-identify. And you said you want to...
As what?
If you'd like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue around...
We've literally just seen a male rapist.
Quite notable is Morgan's repetition of activism through various forms of social media. He holds the opinion that social media like Twitter and Instagram are not platforms, but fortresses that perpetuate extreme opinions by denying exposure of the users to what they do not already believe. The connectivity between this kind of digital tribalism, Morgan's expression, and the human tendency remains, adding to the forming of exclusive groups based on deep hatred for others. This results in an increasing presence within a polarized society that has now fewer bright spots of real dialogue within. Rather than generalizations by which to unify, social media has become a preying ground where woke warriors fought for domination by volume and outrage.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I say that as somebody who skews more liberal than to the right. I can't believe how my fellow liberals are behaving. What is liberal about cancelling everybody and anything that you don't happen to agree with? It's a complete nonsense. Now, I'm a very opinionated person, as you know, Dr. Phil. I write very opinionated columns. I just want to reserve the right, under freedom of speech and the First Amendment, to give an opinion. And this really insidious new culture means that almost anyone who is offended by anything can get on social media and say, hey, I'm offended. Cancel that person, cancel that thing. And within seconds, minutes, hours, this enormous eruption builds on social media, driving other people to share this zealous lust to cancel people. And the one that really, I think, exemplified this perfectly was J.K. Rowling, who, they tried to cancel. She's a billionaire author. You can't cancel a billionaire author.
It is not only the left that he critiqued, though. he roasted equally the extremism from both sides of the political spectrum. However, his accent on woke culture is very easy because of the prevalence in the world where we live today. It is such a movement that, having started with the noblest of intentions, is now headed toward a form of cultural fascism before the watchful eye of some. Those who deliberately seek progressive demands of ideological purity found no ground for nuance, while those who even needed to ask questions about the narrative quickly found themselves labeled and ostracized. So very successful and rewarding in his commentary is the distillation by Morgan of a complex issue into clear perspectives. As an example of Morgan's way of highlighting the typical contradictions within woke logic, for instance, there is the paradox of advocating for tolerance when both are silencing dissenting views.
And I want to irritate all the right people, all the people that we all find uniquely irritating. And it's this permanently offended, snowflakey, cancel culture mob who descend like a pack of hornets on anything they can get themselves into, trying to suppress everyone's right to an opinion, trying to tell us all how to think, how to act, how to laugh, what to find funny, what statues to revere, what parts of history are acceptable, what parts aren't, and so on. And I think we're all just sick and tired of it. You know, whether you're in New York, whether you're in London, whether you're in Sydney, everyone is fed up with this. We're fed up with this small, vocal, permanently angry, humorless, horrible group of people.
Central to Morgan's idea of woke is the issue of free speech. He bemoans the situation where open debate has died, where dissenting voices are not only unwelcome, but even actively muzzled. This trend, according to Morgan, is a dangerous one, thereby putting in peril the very foundations of democratic life. Free speech doesn't mean agreeing with everything you hear, but rather allowing room and debate for ideas to be challenged. Under the conditions of cancel culture, the tenant principle is dismantled.
So I think the world has become a small place. I think that in terms of debate, we're all having these same arguments around the world now. And I think the vast majority of people, whether it's in America, the UK, Australia, or other countries, the vast majority agree with me, and I suspect with the panel here, that this pendulum has gone way too far. And that free speech has got to mean what free speech means. And that doesn't just mean that you tolerate opinions you agree with. It actually means the opposite. As Churchill said, it means listening to people whose opinions you vehemently disagree with, but you tolerate.
The element brings Morgan's role in woke to a most tangible effect on day-to-day life. The overbearing political correctness is crushing creativity and identity, according to him. People cannot express themselves anymore because they are very much afraid of the backlash that they might receive. A society reflects deterioration, very much unlike the hallmark of a healthy one. The incessant hunting for congruity leaves no room for the messy and imperfect, bizarre human interaction.
If anyone, according to you, can identify as a woman, anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with
Just literally put their hand up and say, I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into the world.
It's
very easy.
Incredibly easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
what
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
Whatever that person decides, but to go out into the world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I was born as.
So why can't I identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
Well, I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
His most significant and inspiring point would, however, be his call to common sense again. According to him, most woke cultural debates do not touch real life at all, but rather, in most cases, are ideologically very pure about the practicality of solutions. Morgan would assess this with logic and evidence against emotional outrage with which many of these debates are often conducted. His anti-nonsense attitude balances the emotionalized outrage that defines most woke activism. Worshippers and firebrand critics thus see into the polarizing nature of Morgan's stance toward wokeism. But he insists on being an open book on his views, saying that it would be greater treason to retain silence. For him, the fight against wokeism is about defending the values that uphold a free and open society as much as showing everything. Morgan believes he can spark up a debate that could lead to meaningful changes and more in-depth reflection in society. This charge is far deeper than the arguments Morgan sets before the public. He warns that if this continues, society will not even be able to fight. The subsequent rise of woke culture, with its demands for compliance and restrictions, proves to be the undoing of progress. Morgan's message is a wake-up call for all freedom fighters and idea juggernauts. So, as Piers Morgan casts his unflinching eye, people will find a strong reminder to put value on free speech, fairness, and common sense. They will remember him through this uncompromising approach to controversial issues, striking out lightning bolts at condemnation and gaining respect as a defender of very democratic values. Morgan's commentary challenges people to reject the sameness of ideologies and embrace the dirty, messy process of discussion and debate. Worthy of such an increasingly polarized society, his voice sounds like a clarion call to take back what frees us most.